Welcome to the Best Sports Betting Podcast, where we'll talk about reviews, previews, tips and all things betting related. Brought to you by bestsportsbetting.co.za. Now, on to our hosts.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Best Sports Betting Podcast. I'm not flying solo this time. I'm back in SA. Simon's still out in the good old US of A. I think he'll be there for quite a while. This podcast is brought to you by PlayerBets, playerbets.co.za. Simon, welcome back to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Rob. Good to be on again.
Yeah, it's great to have you back. It was not easy flying solo. I think some people missed you. But let's get straight into it because we've got quite a lot to run over. We're not going to talk too much about the past fixtures, just as there's not that much to cover. But South Africa losing 2-1 to Cape Verde at home. I mean, I don't know if you caught that result.
I did catch the results. I caught the first game, the fixture at Cape Verde, the away fixture for South Africa. I watched that whole game, and yeah, I mean, I know you were on that, and that was definitely on the right side there. I mean, that was actually a big move. It moved in from 18 to 10 to 12 to 10. So, look, yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's not much to say for South Africa in that game. They really just kind of gave it away. I didn't see any of the fixture in South Africa.
No, they lost 2-1. So they're basically not going to go to Russia for the World Cup now. Barring some major miracle, not even a minor miracle. Like, God needs to come down and, like, lightning bolt everyone in order for them to qualify. So it's actually pretty pathetic. It's what, like two World Cups now that we've missed out on?
No, that's awful. I mean, the only time we've qualified in the last 4 World Cups is obviously 2010 when we were hosting. So that's not good. We
qualified in 98. We did qualify.
Right.
2002 as well. So it was, yeah. But anyway. I mean, to be beaten at home 2-1 by a country with a population of 500,000, which is less than a town in South Africa, is pathetic.
Yeah, I know that's no good. I mean, they really needed to pull it together this time. And I thought, with the start we got, like leading the log, tied for first, I really thought that we could do it this time.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and I guess the next World Cup that we're going to be in is the next one that we host, which is probably going to be never. But anyway, moving on. Let's take a quick look at some of the Premier League results. Any ones to catch your eye from 2 weeks ago? I know it's a bit far in the past, but I think it was more the Arsenal game that caught everyone off guard.
Yeah, I don't. To be honest, it is, as I said, it is a little while ago. I'm looking more ahead at this week. Do you want to talk about any games this week, Rob?
Yeah, we're going to talk about this week. I just want to touch on that Arsenal game, and I don't want guys to read too much into that 4-0 loss to Liverpool. I mean, Arsenal, they haven't been too great, and we'll get into it a bit later. So, but yeah, let's get straight into the upcoming fixtures. I think the headline is probably Man City against Liverpool. Any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, no doubt. That's the Sunday game. Yeah, this is interesting. And I did some digging around this game, and I was quite surprised to see that Liverpool have actually been dominant in this fixture over a number of years now. They've actually, and not only have they been dominant over this fixture, but I also didn't realize quite how good Liverpool's record has been over the last little while. But obviously, as I said, it is the headline matchup, and they do have the better of them. And there have been 3 Liverpool wins and 2 draws the last 5 fixtures with Man City. Look, obviously both teams have been pretty impressive. And Liverpool haven't lost a match in 90 minutes. Okay, they lost in overtime to Atletico Madrid, but they haven't lost a match in 90 minutes since playing Crystal Palace in April, which is really impressive. Man City are 1.85, so it's 17 to 20 to win this match, which I do feel is a little bit short.
It's way too short if you ask me. I don't understand some of the prices this week. They're really out of whack.
Yeah, look, I expected Man City to be sort of bang on evens. I'm not sure if sort of 1.5 ticks is big enough difference for me to get hell of excited about it. But a bit I really do like in this game is Liverpool to score over 1.5 team goals.
Okay.
Now, obviously, this is going to be odds against because it's an away game, and Man City have a strong defense. Liverpool's is obviously improving a lot as well, but obviously that doesn't matter for this bet. But Liverpool to score over 1.5 team goals is 14 to 10, so that's 2.4, which is a bet which stood out to me.
That's quite a lot of value, because I mean there should be quite a few goals in that one. I'm expecting at least about 3 or 4 goals.
Yeah.
I don't really want to pick a side there. I think it's going to be a draw. But, it should be a cracker. And are there any other fixtures? I mean, Everton, Tottenham should be a good one. I've got my eye on one game.
Okay, well, you were talking about Arsenal earlier, and I'm not sure. It sounded like you were going to try and make a case for this week.
I am making a case for them this week.
I'm on the other side. I'm on the other side here completely.
Well, only one of us will be right. So let's hear your argument first. Let's see what.
When I say I'm siding with Bournemouth, I'm siding with Bournemouth with a lot of juice behind me.
Okay.
Look, I'm going to take Bournemouth here at 1.5 goals versus Arsenal.
Okay.
Now, look, obviously Arsenal have been woeful, but to be honest, this bet's actually more about Bournemouth underperforming on their stats than Arsenal's record. Obviously, Bournemouth are now 3 on the trot with 3 losses in a row. They lost 2-1 to Man City, but they were really solid. And obviously with 3 losses in a row, the market, I think, seems to have forgotten that Bournemouth were a mid-table team last season. And right now, there's no ways I can take Arsenal at 1.35 or 1.4 to beat anybody. And that deserves to be opposed to me. So, with the Asian handicap bet here, if I take Bournemouth, and this would have to take with a bookmaker like BetVictor, if Bournemouth win the game, you win. If Bournemouth draw the game, you win. If Bournemouth lose the game by 1 goal, you win. The only way you lose this bet is if Bournemouth lose by 2 or more goals, and that's at odds of 9 to 10, which I think is an absolutely cracking bet. So I'm going to take Bournemouth plus 1.5 goals. I think if Arsenal win, they're going to scrape 1 goal win. But I actually think the result of this match is going to be a draw. That's why I've also had a little side bet on a draw here at big odds. So yeah, let's hear what's up, Rob.
Okay, well my argument is that Arsenal have been on a pretty poor run recently because they haven't had the best of results. Bournemouth as well have also been on a pretty poor run. Arsenal's under a lot of pressure. And Arsenal are one of those teams, you're probably going to disagree with me here, but Arsenal are one of those teams that do tend to perform under pressure when it's not exactly the biggest pressure in the world, but it's a fair bit of early pressure. I think Wenger's going to pull those players together and pull out a result here. And they're playing at home, and they do need to put it on. Wenger's literally playing for his job now. He's going to have to pull a big one out. And I think 2 underperforming teams give me the team that's of more quality. And I don't think you can disagree with me that Arsenal are a more quality side than Bournemouth.
Sure, absolutely.
And there's a lot of transfer speculation and whatnot going on. But I just think Arsenal's going to have too much for them on the day. I don't see a big victory for Arsenal. I think it's going to be like a 2-0. I do see value on the 3-4 to 10, but that's too little value. I can't take that. So I'm going to go with the Asian handicap -1. So it's pretty much the opposite of what you're taking. I'm going the other way.
Yeah. Look, I must say, I do agree with you about Arsenal being under pressure. I must say, if you go back, look at especially big fixtures, not necessarily playing Bournemouth, but, whenever they play the Man Cities and the Uniteds of the world, whenever they're down in the dumps, they always seem to pull out a result. And I do think that's been built into this price. I do. And that's another reason why I'm opposing it. And history might be against me in this one. But also, I just want to clarify what I mean by Bournemouth underperforming their stats. I don't mean that obviously they've underperformed because they've got losses, but if you actually look at their
shots and their positions and whatnot,
stats, they should have scored more goals than they have. And, in betting, I talk a lot about variance and regression or progression to a mean. And it just seems like it's a matter of time before these chances convert. And I just think that they can easily. I would be very surprised if they won this game, but I think they can easily scrape a draw or lose by one goal. So it'll be interesting to see. But I do hear what you're saying when you say Arsenal. History is with them in the circumstances, and it does tend to pull it out the bag when it's most necessary.
Yeah. So look, it is a tough game to call, and I just saw some value there. So that's why I'm going with that. But my best bet's actually going to be with West Ham on Monday night. I don't know if you've seen. That they're playing against Huddersfield. West Ham haven't played at home all season. Look, they aren't really playing at home. It's not really home, if you want to call it that. Upton Park. It's they've moved to the new stadium. But I got an interesting message on YouTube, like basically tearing apart my pick of West Ham, saying that Huddersfield are going to win. The guy was saying that the West Ham fans aren't happy with the new stadium. There's no there's no atmosphere at London Stadium, etc., etc. So he made a very valid point. But I just think it's the first game at home. They're playing against Huddersfield, who played pretty well, but they've had a pretty I don't want to say easy run-in, but they've had quite a fortunate run-in with the fixtures. I mean, it hasn't been like too tough for them. So that's why that's why I think they're going to struggle a bit against West Ham, who are also under pressure to pick up a result at home. And 8, 9 to 10 at home for West Ham, it's against a newly promoted team. Come on, like.
I agree with you, Rod. I'm definitely with you on this one. I think that if this fixture was being played in the first week of the league, there would be 6 to 10.
Yeah.
And I think that the market's still adjusting to that 3-0 away win that they had at Newcastle.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that they are still slightly overrated by the market.
Yeah, Newcastle can play like Chelsea one day, and then they can play like. Let's say like Portsmouth the next day. So, it's very unpredictable.
Yeah, no, I think I would be jumping on that bet if it was a little bit closer to evenings, evens. But I definitely think that you make a valid point there.
Oh, okay, fantastic. All right, so let's have a look at some of the NFL coming up. Unless there's any more Premier League that you want to go over.
There is one more bet, so I can quickly go through.
Okay. Go ahead.
Burnley to beat Crystal Palace at 13 to 10. Look, obviously, they earned a away win to Chelsea and a draw away to Spurs, which is actually, funny enough, quite the opposite of their terrible away form last season. And the Turf Moor was where they earned all their points.
They were the Fortress Turf Moor. Yeah.
Yeah, the Palace, much to my disappointment, they have fallen off the wagon a bit, and I expected Burnley's price to be closer to evens here. So 13 to 10. About a win for them, it looks good to me. So yeah, that would be my second favorite bet after the Bournemouth plus 1.5 goals would be Burnley to be Crystal Palace at 13 to 10.
That was one of the games actually that I had sworn to stay away from. So I'm not going to touch that game. I just couldn't find value there. I looked at both sides and I was like, ooh, no, let me not even bother. I know I'm going to get burnt whatever side I go on. I just couldn't find anything of value, but I'm glad you managed to find something. So at least for those fans or bettors who are going to be following you, they've at least got something to bet on. But yeah, moving on, we've got the NFL starting this week. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm sure you're pretty excited. You're probably going to be going to go watch a couple games, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that's Hoppest 8 tomorrow evening. It all starts for me.
Yeah,
which
nice,
obviously
a nice time of the evening to watch the Patriots.
Yeah.
You lucky bastard.
So in South Africa, that would be Hoppest 2 for you guys. So yeah, so Hoppest 8 tomorrow. It's the New England Patriots host the Kansas City Chiefs, and I know you posted your picks for the first week, Rob, and you like the Chiefs plus 8.5 points in that one.
Yeah, I think the line's too big. It's the first week of NFL. I think the Patriots will beat them. I think the Patriots can smash them. But it being the first week, I'm not confident enough to take minus 8.5, minus 9 on the Patriots. Public money is going to be all over the Patriots. I'm not saying that the plus 8.5 is my best bet, but I do like keeping the Patriots for a teaser. So that's where I think there's value to be had. What are your thoughts on the opening game?
Yeah, I think that's a tricky one. I think if they posted at 7, I think it's almost, it looks like the kind of line for me where the bookmakers are almost kind of trying to protect themselves.
Yeah.
I think if they opened that line 7,
ooh, then I would have hammered the minus 7. Yeah.
They would have. I think they would have just expected, or they expect too much money to come for the Patriots. So I think they're kind of making that 8.5 as a kind of to try and tempt people to take the plus. Look, I think that the Chiefs can definitely cover that, but that's personally when I'll stay away from in week 1. Look, obviously with all seasons and all sports starting again, it's sometimes good to get a little bit of a feel for what's going on. Obviously, divisional games also important and so on. But I think that's quite a tough one to call.
Yeah, there's quite a few divisional games also going on, and we've got the Browns taking on the Steelers. Massive spread of 9 there. Once again, I just can't back the Cleveland Clowns, as they so affectionately called. I think they're going to get smashed, but once again, minus 9 is just too big. I can't touch anything there. And then the other big one that I picked up was the Bengals against the Ravens. And the Bengals have a great record against the Ravens, and I'm a Ravens fan, and we always lose to the Bengals when we're playing in Cincinnati. So I think the Bengals minus 3 is proper value, and I'd make that my NFL best bet of the week is definitely right. Bengals minus 3. Look, it's week 1, don't go too big. But I don't think the Ravens are going to get anything out of this one.
Sure. I must say, I absolutely agree with you on that second pick. That is my second pick. My first pick is, and look, this has come in quite a bit. It's the Eagles who are playing away, and I know we all know, anyone who's bet on sports know that home advantage is quite important, and in the NFL, it's more important than many other sports in a lot of aspects.
But depending on who's playing, I'd say for about 70% of the teams.
Absolutely, and I mean, if anyone who does NFL power rankings and so on, I don't do them personally, but I know quite a bit about them, and I read about them. These guys, certain teams count for a certain amount of points at home. Some 2, some 3, some 1.5, whatever it is. So the fact that it's a divisional game, I'm going to say it's slightly less important that Washington are playing at home, but I like the Eagles to beat Washington in Washington, and I got that at 11-10. It's now sitting at between 17-20 and 9-10, so it's lost a bit of the value now. It's now basically a pick 'em, but the Eagles have done some really good recruitments. And I think Carson Wentz is gonna light it up.
Yeah, they've got that really fast-paced offense, with Wentz and Foles.
They do, and
there's a backup, I guess.
And the Redskins have also lost a couple of key players. So I really think that it's a divisional game. Obviously, it's tough to bet on. You're betting on the away side here, but I think that the Eagles are going to walk this one. To be honest.
Yeah, the Eagles have been threatening to do well for a while. They've just they start really well and then they just drop. So it's good to get on them early on. I think I'll definitely be taking that one.
Interestingly, with the Eagles, doing quite a lot of reading, obviously coming up to the season, they were basically the most unlucky team last season in terms of losing games.
Yeah.
By small margins. Yeah. So, that's, again, we're talking about reversion or progression to the mean. You can only keep up good or bad stats for so long. And if you've been very, very unlucky, Murphy's Law says, well, not Murphy's Law, the law of averages say that you will swing back. So I just think that with a better team, with better luck, there's just no ways they're not gonna do better. And I've also put a lot of money on them getting over 8 season wins this season, which is obviously basically more than it's over a 0.5, so half their games. And I got that early at 1.95, 19-20, and I see that's coming quite a lot as well. So I think the Eagles are going to do well this season, and I think not a better time to start than at Washington in week 1.
Yeah, and that's very interesting, and obviously we'll be backing that. And I think another big game that we should talk about is the Packers against the Seahawks. That's a massive game. I mean, both of those teams are probably sweating that's their first game. I mean, it's basically going to decide not decide their season, but I mean, no one wants to start 0-1, and one of those two teams are going to start 0-1.
Sure.
I don't have a pick there. I just look, the Seahawks at home is a very, very strong team. But they have lost a couple players. They have lost a lot of their juju. So there might be some value with the Packers, but I do like them to win. But that's probably the game that I'm most interested in watching out of all of the ones that we have.
I must say, I just love watching the Seahawks because they just have such an awesome defense. I mean, I remember last season watching 2 or 3 games.
Sorry, Simon. It's actually the Packers hosting the Seahawks. Got that one mixed up.
That was about to say, they're away, yeah. But just regardless, I love watching the Seahawks. The defense is incredible. They're really awesome to watch. And I mean, I remember watching a couple of games last season where they conceded 3-6 points, which is just incredible and awesome to watch. But that's a real tough game to call. I think that, look, I mean, you can't stop having faith in Aaron Rodgers, can you?
No, he's one of the best quarterbacks.
The season. So look, it's a tough one. I think it's these kind of teams also. I think you need to get a bit of a read on them before you go big, because obviously they're two very strong teams, and if one really comes out the blocks, they can actually annihilate the other team.
Yeah.
So if you know what I'm saying, I think it's better to get these kind of games where you've got like sort of the higher end playing, the upper echelon playing against one another. I think it's better to get a little bit of a read first and see what's happening before you put your money down.
Yeah, definitely. It should be a cracker. And another match that I kind of like for the overs is the Vikings against Saints game. Now, I like overs in that game because the Saints are a stadium, well, not obviously they're a stadium, but a dome-based team, and the Vikings also playing in a dome, the US Bank Stadium. And on the road, the Saints are usually pretty terrible. They can't play outside. I don't know what the deal or the issue is there, but inside a dome, they're a completely different animal. And I think there's going to be quite a lot of points in that game. I haven't looked at what the exact points line is. See if I can pull it up now. But I do fancy overs in that one.
I imagine there'll be value in the overs because obviously the Vikings do have a good defense. Although they started clicking towards the end of last season, the Saints also weren't scoring too many points. But in the second half of the season, they did much better. So I imagine that line wouldn't be too difficult to attack. On the unders. So you might definitely find some value there. Speaking of the New Orleans Saints, they're definitely one of the teams which a lot of the wise guys, if you want to call them that, are tipping for.
Yeah. They say that every year. I've learned that the hard way. Trust me. I've watched the Saints being, I think it was 40 games unbeaten at home to losing. These guys were saying that that they just don't lose at home. And trust me, I've lost packets on them losing at home to absolute trash teams in their own division. I think who's it, the Jaguars or?
Funny enough, I was about to mention the Jaguars. I do a lot of reading around NFL and so on, and apparently these guys from Vegas, they always just say, year after year after year, these so-called wise guys tip Jacksonville, and they've just not a year after year, week after week, just keep putting money on Jacksonville and losing. And they're convinced that they're on the right side. They're going to get it. They're going to cash a ticket eventually. And obviously they will cash a ticket eventually.
Of course you will,
How can you have blind faith in the team that loses week after week? It's just ridiculous. I don't understand it.
It is. I mean, the Jags is taking on the Texans this week, and I like the Texans there. I just don't like the spread. I think it's a bit too high. So I'm not going to be getting involved there.
Yeah, the thing with the Texans is they don't have a quarterback at the moment, which is a big problem. That's a team which I've a lot of people are tipping as going under their season total wins of 8.5 this season and won't do and overperform their stats last season. It'll be another team to watch.
It's going to be difficult because I think they've got a choice between two quarterbacks at the moment. They've got Brandon Whedon who played a bit for them last year. And I think they've got Tom Savage, who's now their starter. But I haven't been following it too closely. So I don't know if they actually have a starting quarterback or not. So, there might be some value teasing the Jags there. But let me just give you my best bets for the week. I'm going to be going with the Bengals -3 for NFL, and then I'm going to be going with the teaser, which is Patriots -1.5, Falcons -0.5 point, Steelers -2.5, 16-10 at Sportingbet. For those who don't know what a teaser is, basically you make yourself a little accumulator and you manipulate the line between 6 and 7 points, so you can basically subtract or add those points to the spread. So if your team is a 7-point favorite, you can make it a 0-point favorite. So basically the -0. You do lose a lot of value on it, so the odds do drop down. But when you put a few together, it does become quite valuable, and it's one of my favorite things to play. So that's what I'll be taking. I'll be quite heavy on that teaser, and then I'll be taking as I said, the Bengals -3. What's your best bet for the NFL this
week?
Cool.
Yeah, just a note on those teasers. They're really great, and a lot of NFL bettors play those. Remember, you can't tease a bet which is where the spread is lower than 3 points.
Well, at Sportingbet you can't, which is unfortunate. But I think you should be able to, like in the States and stuff, you can. So it is a bit unfortunate.
I haven't actually. I haven't really looked into teasers outside of Sportingbet, so I'll definitely check that out. I just know on Sportingbet that there has to be either a 3 or more point favorite or $1 to tease it.
Yeah, which I think is an error on their side. But anyway, yeah.
No, sure, I agree with you. The bets I like are the Eagles away at Washington. And that you can get it sort of varies between 17-20 and 19-20 depending on where you look. And I also like your Bengals bet, Bengals at home to the Ravens. A lot of talk about the Ravens definitely regressing this season. And Pittsburgh.
Don't talk bad about my boys, yeah.
So I'm with you on that one, Rob. That's definitely my second favorite pick. But Eagles away to Washington would be my best bet in the NFL.
Okay, great. So let's move on to some rugby championship. There's a couple of, well, not couple, or actually a couple of games coming up. Have you had a look at any of those lines? Anything that catches your eye?
I have. It's tricky.
Yeah, it's a farce really to have Argentina in the rugby championship.
First, New Zealand, Argentina. Yeah, I mean, look, I expect New Zealand to bounce back. I mean, obviously they did beat Australia, but I expect them to bounce back after
crack of a game. One hell of a game that was. Wow.
Yeah, I missed it, unfortunately, but you did tell me about that unconvincing win against Australia. But they're now 29.5 points favourites, which it is a big number to cover. It's not necessarily a big number for New Zealand to cover against any team if they're clicking, but and I'm certainly not going to back Argentina plus 29.5. It looks right to me. I don't think that you're getting any value backing either side there. Take it at your peril. I would certainly rather back New Zealand, but it's nothing to get excited about. Australia, South Africa, sure.
I think there's good values on Australia straight up without even taking a handicap there. It's basically the two mutts of the competition, fighting against each other.
Well, let's go back 2 weeks, Rob. I mean, 2 weeks ago, Rob, we were talking about, before the first week, about how Australia are in so much poo, and their board is so fucked up, and this and that.
And their board is still fucked up, and they still are in so much poo. None of that has changed.
Sure, none of that has changed, right? So, none of that has changed. South Africa, whether we like to admit it or not, sure, I agree with you. They are definitely still slightly overrated by the market. But I'm not sure if Australia should be favourites here.
Well, given the game that they're coming off against New Zealand, one would have to put them as favourites. If you compare the game that South Africa was coming off against Argentina. I mean,
I think I hear you. I do think it's sometimes also tricky. I mean, in that game against Argentina, it was obviously kind of hard to get a read on South Africa when that red card came. I don't think they played. We chatted about that, but. Look, I just think if Australia hadn't run New Zealand so close, and I'm not saying that, full credit to them for doing that, I think that South Africa would be a pick-em, or South Africa would be slight favourites for this game. I just think we, obviously we can't forget all the issues that Australia have had in their camp, and after a single strong showing against the All Blacks, my tentative pick here would be South Africa at 11-10. So, I must say, when I first looked at this game, I thought, ooh, is there a little bit of value with Australia there? And it's one I'm not going to bet. But if you put me in a corner and put a gun to my head and said, choose one, I would actually pick South Africa here. They've only won one of their last 7 games in Australia.
Yeah, in the Rugby Championship. That's a stat that I was just about to bring up.
Yeah, so it's tough to make a case for them, but I must say I've got a bit of confidence in South Africa in this one.
Look, I mean the games are generally pretty close fought games between South Africa and Australia, and if that spread is any higher, I would look at taking South Africa on the plus, but I just can't. I mean, we beat them. Oh, sorry, like in the last couple of times we played, we haven't beaten them by much, and they haven't beaten us by much. But I just think Australia, with the home advantage, they're going to be all hyped coming off that I don't want to say good win, that good performance against New Zealand, where they actually probably should have won the game, in my opinion. And I think the spread is completely wrong. I think Australia is going to walk this one by at least 7 points. I'm taking the 8-10 on Australia. I'll probably even take a 13 plus little sprinkle of like 4-1 or something. I think it's going to, South Africa is going to be exposed. Just much like Bafana. Put it that way. I think it's going to be a bad week for South Africa.
Out of interest, Rob, I mean, I see both the Cheetahs and the Kings lost their opening games of the Pro 14 quite convincingly.
Oh, got smashed.
42-19, the Cheetahs lost to Ulster, and the Kings lost 57-10 to the Scarlets. Did you watch any of the tournaments?
I did. I took the Kings on the plus for the first half. I thought they were going to start well, and Cheetahs I stayed away from. I think I was going to play overs, but I didn't. I wasn't too interested in watching that. It's difficult to find. I think it might have been on DSTV. I watched highlights of it. I didn't watch the full match, but it's not really a competition that I'm that interested in. Even though I mean, look, you've got the Cheetahs playing in the Currie Cup, and you've got the Cheetahs playing in the Pro 14, and the Cheetahs playing Super Rugby. I mean, geez, are the Cheetahs going to be playing in the NFL next year or what? It's like it's getting. Yeah. I mean, look, I understand why they're doing it, but it's Southern Hemisphere teams aren't going to cope well in the Northern Hemisphere, much as Northern Hemisphere teams wouldn't cope well down here. Just the way the game's played, And these are two shitty Southern Hemisphere teams, by the way.
No, exactly. No, you're 100% right. Now we are looking forward to games, and but we forgot about recapping the Currie Cup. So let's just quickly talk about that. I mean, the Lions and the Bulls both scraped narrow wins again this weekend. Well, I said the Bulls got their first game in a while, but they basically didn't cover the spread again. But I'm sure John Mitchell will be relieved that the Bulls got a positive result at least.
I know a lot of people were throwing money on that, and I'm glad they did get a result. So.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I don't know why you would. I mean, the spread was 6.5, so you couldn't have got. I mean, if you'd taken the handicap, you were smoking crack. Yeah. And if you took the outright win at that,
you would also be
absolutely zero value.
Two pipes of crack.
So I don't know why you would take that unless you could get a far better number, maybe a -2.5. I might be interested, but certainly not 6.5. Unfortunately, I actually quite liked the Pumas on the plus there. I didn't end up taking them. And they lost by
1 point. I had Lions 1-12, so you can imagine the sweat that I had there.
Sure.
Yeah. But
sure. Quite interesting to see. They just are sort of shadow their former self compared to their performance in Super Rugby. But we'll see.
As is the Currie Cup. I think the Currie Cup has become a joke of a competition. Much like to compare it to something else. Much like the English League Cup, or the whatever they call it now, the old Carling Cup, or I don't know.
Yes, yeah.
The FA Cup. I'm actually talking about the FA Cup. The FA Cup used to be this really prestigious event. It's now become a second string side, and the team that wins is not necessarily the best team in the land, or whatever, or even on form.
It's probably the team with the easiest schedule.
Exactly,
basically.
And it's the team that's willing to commit enough of their first team players. So that's my thoughts on the Currie Cup. It's a bit of a joke.
Yeah.
Funny story is that the Sharks came out as 29-point favourites against the Cheetahs, and a lot of people didn't know that the Cheetahs were actually playing in the Pro 14.
Well, yeah, of course, that was our provisional best bet. I mean, obviously. The first thing we said, Robin and myself both looked at that bet and said, "Sure, but this is crazy. How can this? We all over the Cheetahs."
Yeah, well, we did say that we're going to have to look at team news and whatnot before we take anything.
So I mean, it was
we did our due diligence. So and we didn't give that out as a bet. We just said that's a crazy line, and it was a crazy line for good reason.
Exactly. Not even first and second team in Europe. So there's no. And I must say, I was quite impressed with the bookmakers because they got that line spot on. Despite all the. Yeah, because they won by 30 points. So, I mean, you would have just scraped in if you took the minus there.
And a lot of people shipped on the Cheetahs Plus. They saw this line and they thought this is ridiculous. I got messages. I saw messages. Guys were popping me SMSs saying, "This is the bet of the year. Cheetahs, the bookmakers have got this wrong. This is a mistake. Get on it now." And I was like, "Yeah, dude, they're playing in the Pro 14." And then, oh shit, people pulled money together to get on this.
Sure. Well, very good bookmaking, I must say. Very good bookmaking.
Definitely. But I went. I'm not interested in the Currie Cup anymore. It's lost its allure for me. It's too unpredictable. I don't think I'm going to be betting too much on it this season. Especially with the way things are going. I mean, we've got Province playing Cheetahs. Province should win that game. They lost at home last time out. I mean, they're massive favourites. They're playing against a completely obliterated Cheetah side. I don't even know what the spread is, but it's probably something like 30 or higher than 30, and they'll probably cover it. So I'm not touching that game. And I think that's the only Currie Cup game we have this weekend, unless there's one on Friday night. Yes.
I haven't even.
Oh, they are. Sorry, there are two on Friday night. No, you've got the Pumas against the Sharks and the Griquas against the Lions. Yeah. Again, games that I have very little interest in, and I don't think we're going to be touching. So just steer clear from that. Then let me quickly touch on some EFC. We've got EFC 63 coming up this week. We've got a nice little preview from Brandon Katz again. I didn't manage to get him onto the podcast this week because scheduling issues. Due to us also recording the podcast on a Wednesday instead of on Monday. You were busy on Monday, I was busy on Tuesday, so we had to do it today. And I couldn't get it on, and there would be no point getting him on just for 2 days, for people to listen. So he's got his bets up there. We've got our Betting Babes best bets up there as well, so you should guys go and take a look at that. It's the first post on Best Sports Betting, so just head over there and have a read. And interestingly enough, I got an email. I did send it through to you. from Cairo, the big chief at EFC. He was a little bit unhappy about us using the EFC logo in one of our pictures, and he I was a bit shocked at that. I mean, it's just a logo, and one would think that someone promoting your brand would be more than welcome to use a logo. But credit to him, he wasn't too aggressive about it. I did say, okay, I do apologize, I'll change it. And I did change it, and then he's like, okay, great, thanks. And you did say I really enjoy the previews that you guys are putting up from Brandon Katz. So credit to him. What could have been an ugly situation turned out pretty well. I just thought I'd share that with the listeners.
So that came from the EFC themselves, or the sponsor?
Oh, from the boss of EFC, as in
I think in that
Cara Howard,
situation,
the president of EFC.
Well, it depends on in that situation. It depends on what the sponsor has to say. Whether he's happy or not. The fact that these guys are,
look, FedEx is sponsoring them. They're paying them, I don't know, $5 million a year or whatever it is. It's quite a lot of money. But regardless of that, I'm not a sportsbook, or Best Sports Betting is not a sportsbook, so we can pretty much use the images as we please. Look, they are copyrighted images, but it's not like credit isn't given for those images, and it is in the public space. But look, I don't want to upset them. I don't want to upset BetExchange. I don't want to upset World Sports Betting, who admittedly are backing us for our EFC post. So I just changed it to keep everyone happy, and it turned out pretty well. So credit to all involved there. What could have been a really ugly situation turned into something much better. So best bets of the week, Simon. What you got for us?
I'm going to go with the Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles to beat the Redskins in Washington, and you can still get. I just had a look now. You can still get 9-10 with WSB on that. Another bet which I didn't mention earlier, not going to be a best bet, was that I liked, as well as your Bengals -3, is the Cardinals to beat the Detroit Lions.
Ooh, I looked at that one. -2.
That's at 8-10, yeah. So that's just another one. But my best bet is definitely the Eagles to beat the Redskins at 9-10 with WSB.
Okay, so you're not going to be taking a Premier League best bet. You don't want to oppose my Arsenal best bet,
it would absolutely have to be Bournemouth plus 1.5.
Okay, you're going to make that an official best bet?
Let's go head to head.
Let's do it.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so I'm making Arsenal -1 my best bet. I'm making West Ham my other best bet, and Bengals -3. So a couple of best bets this week. So hopefully we do hit a couple of winners, more winners than losers. Simon and I going head to head. Who are you going to choose? Who's got the better record? So one of us is going to be gloating next week. The other one's going to be eating humble pie, Simon. And I know they've got some pretty good pie there in South Carolina. So
they do, yeah.
Whereas I'm going to have to eat like a Cornish pie here from Checkers Bakery or something.
How about just like a week-old BP pie?
No, that's not going to happen. I'll go with the Bournemouth plus 1.5 if it comes to that, just so that I don't have to do that. But thanks for coming on, Simon, and I'll chat to you again next week. Guys, thanks for listening. Go ahead, follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Check out our YouTube channel. We are trying to improve the quality of our videos. It's a growing and a painful learning process for us, but lots of valuable information shared on there. Check out the NFL posts. We're really excited about the season. And we've got a great competition. Simon, have you seen the competition for the action camera?
I have, indeed.
Okay, yeah, we're giving away an action camera. It's 8-man. I actually have one myself, and they're very nice. They're basically being called the GoPro killers. They're coming in a lot lower price point, and they take 1080p video, comes with the underwater casing, everything like that. So guys, if you want to enter that, go onto the Best Sports Betting Facebook page, go and like the post. You'll see it's pinned at the top. Share the post, comment with your favorite bookmaker, and you'll be entered into the draw, which will take place at the end of the month. But guys, have a good one. We'll see you next time. Cheers. Cheers, Simon.
Ciao.
Thank you for listening, and don't forget to visit our site, Facebook and Twitter pages. Let's go make some money.